All right, Bible questions with Pastor Kent Hovind on March 18th. Okay, brother. These are questions that Jerry sent me, Brother Jerry. Do you think the Jackson's chameleon is a modern-day Triceratops? From YouTube, J. Henning Kelogia.
Interesting question. I think probably the larger dinosaurs after the flood, they got off the ark as babies probably, and just many whole species would have gone extinct in the new climate. They simply couldn't live long enough to reach reproductive age, would be my theory on all this. You look at the dates given in Genesis 5 and Genesis 11, lifespans drop off from 900 pre-flood to 400, and then 200, and then 100, post-flood, real rapidly. And I've got a chart showing all of that on my video number 1, drdino.com. And also, you can buy that chart. If you get my seminar notebook, the chart's in the back of the dates straight from the Bible. Jackson chameleon is a very interesting little creature, has 3 little horns, looks like a miniature Triceratops. So is it the same thing as they're finding the bones of? I don't know, possibly. I don't think there's any way to know that for sure, unless they happen to find a Triceratops that is not fossilized, and certainly dinosaur bones have been found that are not completely fossilized, even some with blood vessels inside. So maybe there'd be enough there to do a DNA test. That'd be interesting. So I can't answer the question, but I certainly think it's interesting, the resemblance showing that there are that type of creature with 3 horns still alive today. So could it be? Probably. Couldn't prove it. Okay.
Which of the feasts are we still supposed to keep and should by the Hebrew calendar instead of the pagan Roman one we use today?
I only heard the first part. Which of the feasts are we still supposed to keep?
Sorry. It's a kind of a...
Okay.
Oh, okay, here we go.
Required to keep 10.
I'm sorry, here we go. I
don't think we're required to keep...
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I think it's
I don't think we're required to keep any of the first Acts 15:20 settles the issue for Gentile Christians. I think it's very interesting, and it's fun to study the feasts and even keep the feasts, the Passover and all that stuff, just to understand Jewish heritage, because we're certainly a wild olive branch on that olive tree right now, Romans 11. So, but I think it would be a slippery slope. People would quickly think they're more spiritual because they keep the feasts if you're not careful. So no, just do it for historical value. I remember as a kid, my mom would do that. She was a missionary to the Jews when she was in college, and she made a big deal out of teaching us about these different feasts, and I think they're wonderful. But we're not required to keep any of them, okay?
Yeah, that was 2 questions also, and then what they were asking is, this is by Alaskan Christian, by the way, what they were asking is, should we go by the Hebrew calendar instead of the pagan Roman one we use today? That was the second question.
I don't think it's possible to change that. I mean, nobody's going to understand what you're doing if you say, hey, meet me in Abib 13. You have to explain it, translate it anyway. If you want to, go for it, but I wouldn't. I think it'd be a waste of time. It's just like all the days of our week are pagan names, you know. Sunday, the day you worship the sun. Monday, Moon Day, the day you worship the moon. Tuesday is Thor's Day, you worship Thor. Even the names of our month, January, for Janus, the two-faced god. So I think there's so much paganism infiltrated into our culture, into our calendar, into our days of the week.
This call is from the Saratoga County Sheriff's Office.
I don't think it's a battle worth fighting. Forget it. There's bigger dragons to slay, in my humble opinion. So I wouldn't. I mean, if somebody wants to, maybe that's good. They're calling for God of their life to fix that, but I don't think you're going to change the whole world. Just like the year 2015. Well, we know it's at least 4, 5, 6 years off. So the guy who made up the calendar missed the birth of Christ. And then you got to wonder, why are we going by the birth? Why not the death or resurrection? Which is probably where we should be going from. So I wouldn't worry about it. Bigger dragons to slay, okay?
Correct. During his debate against Ken Ham's debate against Bill Nye, referencing the Geologic Column, they indicated that if you could find fossils who had swum up to a different layer, you could change the world. That's what Bill Nye would say. I've heard it mentioned that the geologic column is only found in the textbooks. I also know that organisms with the most complex eyes are found on some of the lowest layers. Was Bill Nye blowing smoke, or is there any validity to his statement/challenge?
Well, I covered this on video number 4. The geologic column is a joke. It doesn't exist anyplace. And all over the world, petrified trees are found standing up, connecting all these layers that they claim are different ages. There are dozens of pictures of them in my maybe it's seminar part 6. Anyway, here's the problem. If you find, say, a dinosaur fossil, then they will date that rock layer as Cretaceous or Jurassic based on the type of dinosaur you found. So how do you know that's Jurassic? Well, it had a dinosaur bone in it. Oh. And so that was 70 million years ago. How do you know it's 70 million years ago? Well, that's when dinosaurs lived. How do you know that's when they lived? Well, you found the fossil in this rock layer. How do you know this rock layer is 70 million years old? Well, it contains a dinosaur fossil. So, see, the layers are dated by the fossils and the fossils by the layers. So for Bill Nye to say if one swam up to another layer is disingenuous, it's silly. They're dating the layers by the fossils they contain. Just take in a piece of limestone to any professor with no fossils in it and say, how old is it? They say, oh, we can't tell. We have to have some index fossils. This could be Jurassic limestone or Cretaceous limestone or Mississippian limestone, or we don't know. Well, hello, it's limestone. Just tell me how old it is. No, we can't do that. We have to know which type of fossils it contains. They're called index fossils, and the whole idea is stupid. Really dumb.
Yeah.
I mentioned in my seminar that if there's any sorting to the fossils, and there sort of is, that would be natural. Trilobites or clams, for instance, are found at the bottom usually of these layers of rock. And birds are generally found at the top. And they'll say, see, that proves clams evolved first and birds evolved last. I say, no, guys. Clams are the first ones buried in a flood. Mm-hmm. They're already at the bottom. That's where they live. Of course they're buried. Birds are the last ones buried. So I think they're sorted based on habitat, based on mobility. Clams can't run very fast. Based on intelligence, clams aren't too smart.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Based on body density, clamshells are heavier than bird feathers. So if there's any sorting at all, there are other explanations besides the stupid evolution theory to explain it. Okay?
I agree.